When it comes on in a film, all of a sudden you're in the zone. You're like, yeah, this is something I can interpolate with. Theatre used to do this in the Greek mythology. Why? So that the people will say, you know what, that could be me, so I'm not going to mess about with the gods. Saturday, Sunday, whichever day it is that I need to go and give food to this god. He's my god, but I need to feed him. Poor guy can't get himself any food. I will go and I'll give the food. He needs money. My god is feeling the credit crunch this year. I need to give him some money. So I'm going to go down there. Right. What they used to do, one of the Greek mythologies is that there was always a drama at the end, which concluded in what? That if you go against the will of the gods, tragedies and calamities were inevitable. Oedipus complex. Let's first talk about what the story of Oedipus was. Oedipus, there was a king and a queen. This king and a queen made a promise to the god. So the god said to them, fine, you have to fulfill your covenant with me. Now they didn't fulfill this covenant. So what's happened? The god said, as a curse from me, you're going to have a son. This son will kill the father, marry the mother, and sire children from her. You got to think, in those times you're thinking, whoa, I don't want this to happen. I got to do whatever the god's telling me to do. These two didn't do what the god told them. They said, you know what is this mumbo jumbo? We don't believe in these gods. Again here, the point was what? That when you think I'm not going to believe in the gods, don't think you're getting away with it. So these two said, we're not going to believe in the gods. We've given up our hope on them. The mother becomes pregnant after a few years. So she has a child. Before she has this child, the father says, let's have a miscarriage. There's a special plant which if you eat it, the child will fall. Because we don't want the wrath of the gods. She said to him, and how do you know it will be a boy? Let's wait and let's see. The gods have no choice. It's us, the individuals. So we will make our own future. So they have a son. Now when they have this son, they begin to what? Think, hold on. The god said we're going to have a son. And we had a son. So this sounds a bit realistic. What should we do? Let's kill the son. Sounds like a good idea. Right. Mom, you're going to kill him? I don't have the heart to. Dad? I also don't have the heart to. What should we do? We've got a shepherd. Let's give the son to the shepherd and he'll kill him. So they gave the son to the shepherd. They said, take him. This son, by the way, is Oedipus, the character which we talk of. So the shepherd takes the son and he walks out of the village and he thinks, what the hell have I got myself into? He's only a kid. I've never killed an animal in my life and now I have to kill a child. I'm not doing this. So he meets up. He knows there's a good place where all the shepherds bring their sheep so that their sheep can eat the grass. He said, you know what? There's good pasture there. I'm going to take them and I'm going to take this kid with me. I will kill a sheep. Sounds something like the sacrifice of Ibrahim alayhi salamullah. I will kill the sheep and I will bring back the blood. Now it sounds more like the story of Yusuf alayhi salamullah. I will bring this blood and I will say to them, I'll kill the child. So he goes there, he meets with another shepherd. He says to him, listen, you're from a different city. I want you to take this son. So he takes the child. So he comes back with the blood and he says, the deed is done. You have nothing to worry about. So they begin to live lavishly, thinking, you know what, to hell with these gods. We don't need to worry. So anyway, this arrogance of theirs, because they stopped fearing the gods, they messed up so bad in the economy that the country went in a state of turmoil. While this was happening, this child Oedipus was taken to a different town, to a different kingdom, and was raised by a different couple, who were what? Barren. They didn't have no children. So, as this guy started to grow, Oedipus, he's sitting in an inn, a pub, and he's drinking, and an old man looks at him and he says, how sinful the act, how sinful the act. A son who is a husband, a father who is a brother. So Oedipus says, what? What are you talking about? This guy is telling a prophecy. He says, I looked at you and I can tell, I'm the oracle. And in your destiny you will kill your father and you will marry your mother and you will have children. So you will be the brother of your children. And you will be the son of your wife. So Oedipus thought, what? I can't kill the people who raised me. I love them too dearly. You know what? I'm going to run away from this village. I'm running away from this kingdom. So he runs away thinking, what? I'm going to stop this tragedy from happening. On his way, he's going where? fate takes him back to his old kingdom. On the way, his father, the real father, the king, is out hunting. Now they've never met each other before. So the king says to him, get out of the way, peasant. Oedipus says, what? How dare you call me a peasant? So they start to fight. Oedipus kills his father. The first part of the prophecy has come to life. He killed the father. He goes back. On his way back, he meets the Sphinx. The Sphinx, I don't know if anyone's seen the pharaohs. There's that lion with a human face. That's the Sphinx. Now the Sphinx was this evil god. For some reason he comes and he just gives riddles. If you solve the riddle, he will bless you with something. If you don't solve the riddle, he takes you and he eats you. So Oedipus was the only person who solved the riddle. So what was his reward? He said, your country just lost its king, so I'm going to make you a king in his place. He said, how do I become a king? He says, you have to marry the queen. The queen is who? His mother. So he marries his mother and they have children. Now here there's something called hubris. Hubris is what? It's arrogance, which leads to our demise. So for example, you say to me, there's 60 people at the end of the road, Hussain, they said after this majlis they're going to beat you. So I say, well, I know it's going to be my downfall, but I want to go there and make sure these 60 people are there. That's hubris, that's my arrogance. I could have avoided it. But this arrogance in me compelled me to continue moving forward until what? I finally found my demise. So Oedipus, after having these children with his mother, here's another prophecy from an oracle. So anyway, he begins to inquire. His mother says, please leave this thing, because if I find out, it's going to kill me. Eventually he reaches the point where he finds out that it's true. This is his mother and these are his children. The mother hangs herself. Oedipus gets a brooch and he takes out his eyes with the pin. And he takes out his ears. He says, this world has been so cruel to me that I no longer want to see anything and I no longer want to hear anything. That's the story. Sigmundus Freud comes along and proposes what? That this is a reality within the human being. That biologically, psychologically, we all at one point want to kill our father and marry our mother. Astaghfirullah. So I'm thinking now, this great civilization who's conquered the world and done so much, this is the best you can come up with? That my entire life I'm plotting to kill my father, to marry my mother. What kind of ridiculous theories? That everything I do in my life is based on sexual desires. That means what? My whole life is like an animal. Which is why you see there's so much in this, in media, in TV, all this adverts. There's so much about, A'udhu Billah, like, from a very young age. I'll tell you, from a very, 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 very young age, our young brothers and sisters have been exposed to this kind of thinking. You might not see it, but they've been exposed to it. There's certain things which I can't say from the minbar because it disrespects the minbar. However, in private circles, when we do, inshallah, have some circles where we can freely debate these things, you will see how polluted the mind is of a child through these philosophies. And realistically, you have to think, if your child is in school from nursery to the end of primary, then from secondary to college, and then from college to university, every day from 9 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, what time do you have to teach your son or your daughter? What time do you have to communicate with them? This is why the minbar of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam Allah is so very, very, very important, especially in our day and age. Is because when we come here, this is the time where we begin to contemplate. And when our children go back to schools, and I say this specifically to the younger brothers and sisters, when you go back to school, don't take everything as truth, because I tell you now from personal experience, and I study sociology, is that we are told there is nothing called as fixed truth in this society. So they'll tell you, don't believe in anything. Today they tell you believe in red, tomorrow they tell you believe in white. So when they're telling you that God doesn't exist, respond to them, tell them, you tell me there is nothing as fixed truth. That means your belief that God doesn't exist is not a fixed truth. So